Okay, so I want to give a little update on what we have going on here. Some may not know, but we bought 23 acres here in Metro Atlanta for a really good price because we wanted to have sort of like our own little homestead. And we were able to get those acres very affordably because we found a parcel with an old dilapidated 60-bed nursing home that had been abandoned for about 25 years. So we've owned this place for roughly 5 years, and the vision that I've had, or I guess we've had, it's probably my vision, is for the livestock side of things. Initially the land was really nice, mature forest, and we maintained a lot of that, but we did want to open some of the forest up, create some clearings to establish what we would call native Piedmont prairie. Sorry, one of the sheep just got stung by something. With a focus on really growing native grasses, native wildflowers, and really just kind of having the land heal itself, and using livestock to help the land heal and make it even better. So we do breed Barbados black-belly sheep, which is a heritage breed. They're very hardy. I'm extremely fond of them. I have 12 ewes, and I think I'd like to get to a point where I have 15 good ewes, and then I'll always rotate a ram. Don't know which sheep that is. She's very friendly. But the sheep help with just obviously keeping the pastures and the clearings open, grazing things down, fertilizing the land, and just, being part of the sort of natural cycle of things in nature. But I want to show you how in the few years that we've been here, we have some really nice native wildflowers that have come up, and just show you how many native pollinators just are thriving due to that being the case. So more to come. We just have tons and tons of this lovely Joe Pye weed that our little native pollinators really enjoy, growing everywhere. swallowtail butterfly, enjoying some Joe Pye weed. If you want to see more butterflies, plant native, and they will come. And we've got some lovely native blue mist flower. This is actually like in the first year that we opened up and had, you know, more of a clearing. It established itself and it's just kind of spread. Really seems to be happy here, so I love it. It's not quite fully open yet, and this usually, it'll bloom all through October. Right now we're mid-September, and the sheep won't eat it, so hopefully it'll keep kind of just spreading. And again, it's great for the native pollinators. I am, however, also a sucker for non-native flowers, so even though my garden's a little overgrown right now, I haven't weeded in a long time, I do grow, you know, things like this celosia, lots of zinnias, I've got gladiolas, I grow basil, and just feverfew, a variety of different cut flowers. And I'll always keep, you know, some garden space for that, just because I enjoy it. But I also grow some natives within my rather messy flower garden. So over here, we've got our good old Rudbeckia. And, you know, again, if you want to see butterflies, plant native. And zinnias, they love zinnias. Over here, we've got some New England aster, which is lovely this time of year. I've got some bee balm. I always grow this anise hyssop, which is done. It's flowered already, but I keep it for the seed heads because the goldfinches really love the seeds. And really, even though the garden looks a mess, it's still providing lots of food for lots of different critters. So obviously butterflies, bees, birds, there's just a lot of life still going on here. But yes, I need to clean it up, it's a mess. But just kind of showing you what I have going on. We've got our corn growing, toppled over in the wind. Need to harvest that. Lots of okra growing. Kale, lots of beans, butternut squash, some pumpkins, some cantaloupe. Yeah. Here you can see sort of the last blooms of my ironweed. I didn't stake it up. I probably will next year, but it's got these beautiful purple flowers that bloom late in summer, early fall. So it's great for, you know, providing some nectar and pollen during a time that other things have kind of already been spent. Got some anise hyssop. Some tick seed. And then some native salvias that I grew from seed. So there's still things to feed on. And no garden can go without goldenrod. This is a variety called Firecracker, and I love it. It stays a little bit lower and really does kind of look like fireworks going off. It's just starting to come into bloom now. And here we have some butterfly milkweed, little seed pods. You can see the seeds here. And these are in the stage where they're waiting to be blown away or taken off by some birds to spread to other parts of our land, hopefully. So we will have more milkweed popping up in different places. Echinacea belongs in every garden. Love it. Here again, firecracker, goldenrod, feeding a local bee. Our neighbor raises European honeybees, so we get a lot of them here, which is fine, but not all bees are, you know, the same. It's the native bees that we're trying to bring back and protect. The European honeybees obviously are not native, and a lot of people raise them without realizing maybe that those are not the bees we're worried about. Here in this container, I've got a native prickly pear, which gets some lovely blooms and fruit. And behind it, in that container, I have a clethra, which is a native shrub, also known as summer sweet. And I can only encourage people to grow it. It just smells amazing. It's got beautiful white fluffy blooms in the summer and smells absolutely divine. Just the name summer sweet makes perfect sense. If you can find them, buy them, put them all around your house, because you get to smell them. I have 2 in containers at my front door here. This is what we are preserving of the 60-bed nursing home. This half that I'm filming right now is what we call the barn. And then where the windows begin is our living quarters. We are permanently under construction, always striving to improve things. At this point, we're very, very happy with our progress. Things are going great. But I think most people would not be well, comfortable with our living situation, but we are very comfortable with it. So these are 2 clethra again that just in the summer are just, they smell so incredibly good when you go up the stairs. And of course now the flowers are spent. I've got one over here too in front of our pump house. This one's actually a pink variety. So the blooms start out white, but then they kind of fade and turn pink and almost like a reddish hue. I've got some bee balm, again some New England aster, and some Joe Pyeweed planted here. So planting as many native species as I can, and really feel like I'm seeing the benefit with just much more diversity in the birds that we're seeing, tons and tons and tons of butterflies, bees of all sizes and shapes. I don't know their names. Tons of dragonflies. We don't get a lot of mosquitoes. We have a lot of sort of fly-catching type birds that swoop around and get a lot of the mosquitoes. We have eastern phoebes who do that. I've got my little fish pond here that I like to scoop water from to water my container plants. The fish make sure that there are no mosquitoes, and the plants make sure that the fish have plenty of oxygen. I don't have a pump or anything in there. I've made a sort of little shallow pool area here. The fish can still get into it, but I'm hoping eventually the plants will kind of grow it shut. And I'm hoping that that will allow things like dragonflies to kind of have their larvae grow and multiply. But yeah, the pond is really it's fun. I do feed the fish. There's not enough for them to eat without me feeding them. But yeah, we don't have a mosquito problem in any way. And it's just nice to have a little pond. And here inside the barn, this is in my garden room. You can get a feel for what things looked like when we first kind of looked around at the structure. Everything was in really bad condition. This was room 10 of the nursing home, now my garden room. So things are still very, very rough in the barn, but it's a barn, so it works really well for us. I love my little garden room, but just wanted to give you an idea of, you know, what we have been working on and how things were. I should also mention that our, you know, the neighbors or the people who lived locally, they had been dumping on our land for at least the 25 years that the nursing home was abandoned. So when I talk about the land needing an opportunity to heal, part of that is just, you know, knowing how much trash we've been pulling up and getting rid of. So yeah, just didn't want to forget to mention that. It really was a dumping ground, and a little bit further down past our 23 acres, there's still an area where the locals dump all their old furniture and debris. We so far only have about a third of our property fenced in. So I'd say we maybe have 7 acres or so of pasture at this point, which is, you know, perfectly fine for the number of sheep that we have. But obviously we have a lot of land in the direction that I'm kind of holding the camera. Way back there is what we call the realm of Gondor. Not yet fenced in, beautiful grassy pasture though. So over the next years, we will be fencing that in and thereby expanding the area for our sheep, and we'll be growing the flock. So obviously still a work in progress, and just something that we're enjoying a lot, but it is a lot of work pulling the fencing. So we're taking our time. The first year we were here, we really injured ourselves. And I think we finally have healed from our injuries. We both had like rotator cuff issues and elbow issues. So we have learned to pace ourselves and not overdo it. So here I'm actually, where I'm sitting, used to be nursing home, but it was the half of the nursing home that was really, really in terrible condition and not something we felt we could salvage. So 4 years ago, we cut the nursing home more or less in half, and where you see kind of the barn front, that paneling is actually from trees that my husband Bodhi milled from our land. And so that barn front is actually, it used to be kind of smack almost in the middle of the structure. But yeah, the second half, or the really terrible half of the structure, was demolished. It was too far gone, and it's now where I have my vegetable and cut flower garden. And we're really, really happy. So this kind of is the entryway from the road, the first kind of access into the structure, and it's the half of the structure we call the barn, where I have my flower room or my gardening room. Bodhi has chainsaw rooms, and we keep our tools and equipment. And you know, obviously the whole building, we have tons of work left to do, but we're also just really enjoying the work and enjoying the land and enjoying what we're doing. So again, I am really happy with how things have come along. I think every year, you know, things will keep getting better. Hopefully we'll be able to, you know, put out more native seed and it will spread. And yeah, we're just very happy, and the land is becoming more and more easy to manage as it basically starts taking care of itself. So there's my update.